19th century saw China's foreign trade expand rapidly. As a result, silver from abroad flooded into China. But the introduction of opium during the Qing dynasty meant that the national treasury was emptied, as millions of taels of silver were squandered every year on importing opium.
According to records of the East India Company, in the 153 years from the 20th year of Emperor Kangxi's reign to the 13th year of Emperor Daoguang's reign, more than 70 million taels of silver were shipped to China from Europe. But some scholars feel this is a vast underestimation. They believe that in the 140 years before the reign of Emperor Daoguang, the amount of silver brought to China from abroad would have totaled several hundred million taels of silver.
他说中国就是说，中国我们一直认为天朝啊，天朝。他说这个中国这种天朝啊，这种概念不是说是无端的自己生出来的。他说确实在中国东亚地区啊，存在一种朝贡体制、纳贡体制。他认为确实中国在那个地方呢，从文化上面，从这个国力上面，它确实很强大。这些周边小国呀，他获得一个中国的朝廷皇帝的一个封号，觉得是非常光荣的事情。
But unfortunately, such flattery encouraged China to become arrogant, and it came to regard itself as the central empire of the entire world, and became short-sighted, cutting itself off from reality. As a result, it lost many opportunities.
这种机遇就是我们错失掉了。为什么这种错失掉了？这种贸易是由民间的商人来做的，东南亚的地区的这些商人、民间的商人在做。 实际上，明清的时候，恰恰这个时候出现了一些禁海的一些措施。我们知道，所谓锁国呀，如果我们从政府有意识的去认识到了这种东西，然后去抓住这个机遇的话，那对中国来说，当时是说实话是非常好的一个机遇。确实是因为西方的当时来说，资本主义发展起来，但是它从这个整体的实力上面还不强。如果我们的当时采取主动的话，那肯定是恐怕历史另外一种局面。
At a time when the Qing government was still intoxicated in the thought it was a heavenly empire, Western countries such as Britain, France and the United States were growing stronger and stronger after the successes brought their way by the Industrial Revolution. At the same time, a scheme was being brewed in the West through which the Britons, who had been humiliated by the Qing court, would begin smuggling opium into China.
西方人就说他又要中国的商品，但是呢，他又没有东西跟中国的商品去交换去了，白银已经枯竭了。这个时候怎么办呢？他们就想到了一个鸦片，才通过这种就是在种植鸦片输入中国，套取中国的白银，使中国的白银大量的外流，这么一种情况。
China spent more than 6 million taels of silver every year on the import of opium, and the national treasury soon became emptied, all revenue exhausted. Social conflicts and problems became pronounced, as would be inevitable. Soon the Opium War took place. The Westerners' fascination and admiration for Chinese merchandise had turned into presumptuous desire. The Chinese army was defeated with big guns, and China was forced to sign unequal treaties one after another. China had lost the silver reserves it had accumulated over several hundred years. Gone along with the silver were the health, happiness and hard-earned wealth of the Chinese people. After the Opium War, the outbound flow of Chinese silver continued at a greater pace. Well-dressed foreign merchants never tired of selling their opium at various ports in China, exchanging their 90% pure silver dollar, which weighed only 72% of a tael, for a full one-tael Chinese silver ingot. This unfair exchange not only caused large outflows of Chinese silver, but also led to the foreign control of domestic currency circulation. Far-sighted Chinese became worried. Zhang Zhidong, an advocate of the westernization movement, became determined to force foreign currency out of China using financial means. This politician, who advocated learning foreign techniques in order to deal with foreign powers, became Governor-General of Guangdong and Guangxi provinces. He then bought advanced equipment from England to upgrade China's backward minting workshops and produce Chinese silver dollars in Guangzhou. In 1889 in Guangzhou, Zhang Zhidong struck silver dollars, each one weighing 73% of a tael. The coin bore an inscription in English on the obverse and Chinese on the reverse. But Zhang Zhidong had not expected that his silver coins would be hoarded as soon as they went into circulation. The Chinese dollar was heavier than the foreign dollar, and Zhang Zhidong had to reduce the weight of his coin, but it was the English inscription on the obverse that aroused the most vehement complaints. In the 16th year of Emperor Guangxu's reign, the Guangdong Mint put the Chinese inscription on the obverse and the English inscription on the reverse. Because the coin bore the design of a dragon, it was called the Dragon Dollar.
张之洞在广东做的那个就是光绪元宝，这个广东省钞的元元，从这一套银元做出来之后呢是很漂亮的，因为当时呢已经引进了国外的一个铸币机器，而且还请了国外的那个雕刻师到国内来做。它那个图案呢是龙，是符合中国人习惯的一个图案，比那个进来的上面是人头啊、鹰啊。龙的图案是在中国人的心目当中是比较吉祥的那个图案，而且它那个成了一套以后，做出来也是很好看的，很漂亮，保留到现在还是很漂亮的。
The Dragon Dollar is 39.4 millimeters in diameter, weighs 27.2 grams, and has a purity of 88%. It was greatly liked for its convenient size and high purity. Other provinces soon followed suit in minting their own local silver dollars. Shortly after Zhang Zhidong started minting silver dollars, he was transferred to Wuhan to become Governor-General of Hubei and Hunan provinces. In Guangzhou, 10 years after Zhang Zhidong left the city, Li Hongzhang, another leading advocate of Western modernization, cast China's first copper dollars without a hole in them. Each copper dollar weighed 2/10 of a tael. Inscribed on the obverse were two Manchu characters meaning Guangzhou treasure and Chinese characters meaning Guangxu ingot. On the reverse was an inscription in English. Obviously, this copper dollar was not meant to be the main coin in circulation, and in the beginning, 100 copper dollars could be exchanged for just one silver dollar. However, later when the exchange rate became 1 silver dollar for 10 copper dollars, the copper dollars became the main currency in circulation and also the standard for the exchange of copper coins. Zhang Zhidong and Li Hongzhang laid the foundation for the modernization of Chinese currency. A new monetary system with silver and copper dollars supplementing each other was established, marking tremendous progress from the traditional and backward silver tael system. At this time, an argument arose within the Qing government on the issue as to whether China should use the silver dollar or the silver tael as the national standard. Those supporting the silver dollar were advocates of constitutional reform and modernization, and they included Emperor Guangxu. Those supporting the silver tael were old guards of the feudal system, and they included Empress Dowager Cixi. But in 1910, the modern faction prevailed, and in April of the same year, the government promulgated its regulations concerning the monetary system. However, the Qing government was overthrown before the decree was put into effect.
这个是以改良派为代表的是主张用银元制。那么以保守派就是慈禧为代表的呢，还坚持用银两制。所以在这个时间里头呢，是银元制，银元也铸，是银两也铸，两头较劲儿。最后是银元制还是取得了成功。
The regulations concerning the monetary system promulgated by the Qing government made the silver dollar the standard currency with the dollar as the monetary unit. The decree also designated 3 kinds of silver coins and 4 kinds of copper coins as fractional currencies, and the monetary denominations of yuan, jiao and fen are still in use today.
In a large crowd, always act in a safe and orderly manner and follow the advice of the police. If overcrowding occurs, don't push, don't shout, stay calm.
請大家遵守秩序，慢慢向前行。多謝合作。
Compared to the traditional silver tael system, the silver dollar standard was more advanced and more popular. During the late Qing dynasty and the early years of the Republic of China, the old Chinese monetary system that had been in place for thousands of years came to an end, with silver and copper dollars becoming the standard currency. China thus became part of the world monetary system. Meanwhile, the issuance of Chinese banknotes also underwent modernization.
After the Opium War, a number of foreign banks set up branches in China and started to issue a large amount of banknotes. At the time, Chinese were still running small-scale private monetary shops, and in a short time these foreign banks were dominating the Chinese financial market.
"中国的钱庄因为股本都比较小，也没有人想创大银行。那么，只有官府这个力量。当时有些了解西方的人认为中国应该办银行，就提倡银行的人已经很多了。但是哪个钱庄都不能发展成银行，因为钱庄的基础比较小。 是吧？然后实行几个几个知识分子间创办照西方的形式创办银行。所以中国的银行是按照西方的形式创办。中国第一家银行，中国工商银行，它的章程就是按照汇丰银行的。它里边有杨经理、华经理，杨经理就杨大班，就是在汇丰银行做过的，这样子。然后以后呢，中国大清户部银行，就大清银行啊，还有交通银行了，还有民办的银行了，渐渐开始，就是在清末的时候。
In 1897, the first modern Chinese bank, the Commercial Bank of China, was established in Shanghai, and for the first time in Chinese history, two kinds of banknotes representing silver taels and silver dollars were issued. Although the bank was under the control of Shang Xuanhuai, the general manager of railways in the Qing government, and although it bore apparent marks of a comprador and was really a duplication of the Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank, it nevertheless symbolized the birth of a new type of banking institution in modern China. Several years after this, the Chinese Bank of Financial Ministry and the Bank of Communications, along with some smaller local banks, were founded, and modern banknotes appeared.
也就是中国了，外国银行来以后，马上应该自己创办的，但中国当时隔了50年，半个世纪。到1897年，才盛宣化提出的。1880几年，李鸿章也想办的，结果被人家批评了，因为他想办一个中美合资的，结果当时大成将李鸿章卖过，又没办成，所以到1897年办了一个银行，从此中国进了有银行的世界。所以中国银行不是从田庄直接变过来的，但有些田庄参加银行股份可能的。但是不是从哪一家田庄直接变过来，也不是从哪家票号直接变过来的，是完全按照西方的模式进来的，是引进的，银行是引进的。
Just as China was embarking on a road to develop a new monetary system, feudal rule, which had lasted in the country for several thousand years, finally came to an end. The evolution of Chinese currency was now entering a period of rapid change. This $1 silver coin was minted in memory of the Revolution of 1911, which saw the overthrow of the last feudal regime and led to the founding of the Republic. As such, it is a witness to the changes in an era and the rebirth of a nation. The Chinese were placing all their hope for China's future in the revolutionary pioneer Sun Yat-sen, who gave this warning. The revolution has yet to succeed. Comrades in arms must drive on. Soon after, however, the fruit of the revolution of 1911 was usurped by Yuan Shikai, who staged a farce by attempting to restore the monarchy. However, he was to sit on the throne for only 83 days. The German poet Goethe remarked, "You sow the seeds of a hero, but what you harvest are fleas." The attempt to restore the monarchy had failed, but now warlords began to fight each other in the power vacuum that followed, and each of them minted coins featuring their own heads.
"北洋政府成立以后呢，修改了一个货币条例里边呢，就规定货币呢是以袁世凯的侧面的一个头像这个图案为主的，它也有1元、半元、2毛、1毛的成套的、成系列的。它正面呢就是袁世凯的头像，中华民国3年，背后呢就是1元2个字，大小的1元字，边上呢是嘉禾图。这个袁世凯的银元铸了以后呢，很快的就流通到全国去了。
Although Yuan Shikai was spurned by the Chinese people, the silver dollar featuring his head became beloved for its high purity and convenient size, and it became the official currency. The common people referred to it as Big Head Yuan. It was abolished only after the national government replaced the northern government in 1927. In 1929, the financial ministry of the Kuomintang government solicited designs for the silver dollar it had decided to mint. It stipulated that the design have a portrait of Sun Yat-sen on the obverse and a three-sail boat on the sea on the reverse. The United States, Britain, Austria, Italy and Japan attended the bidding, and their mints quickly came up with samples, and thus the silver dollar, commonly called boat on the sea, came into being.
在各种条件成熟的情况下呢，就开始铸造船洋。这个船洋呢，体现民国21年呢做的这个船洋呢，就是孙中山的一个像，中间呢是孙中山的一个头像，上面写的中华民国21年，背面呢是商帆的一个船，边上2个1元2个字。这个银元呢，上面有3只鸟在天上飞，下面呢有一个太阳。当时是正式发行流通了。但是发现流通了没有多少时间，人家感觉到天上飞的3个鸟好像不太好，不太吉祥。也有人认为好像像3个飞机在上面飞一样的，后面在飞一样的那种感觉，不太好。那么马上就把这个钱、这个银元就收回了。第2年再做出来的这个银元，这个背面的图案就少了天上飞的3个鸟和地下一个太阳，这个呢就成为当时最通用的船洋。
More and more silver coins had been circulated, but silver ingots did not disappear, as many large cash transactions were still being conducted in silver taels. But the argument over which should become the standard became sharper toward the end of the Qing dynasty, at which time demands that the tael be abolished were being echoed all over the country. In March 1993, the Kuomintang government announced that the tael system was to be abolished and that only the dollar system would be used. And with that, the old tael system disappeared forever. But no sooner had China adopted the new monetary policy than Western countries began to renounce the gold standard, causing what had been the advantage of the silver standard in China into a disadvantage.
放弃金本位就意味着纸币贬值，也就意味着银价上涨、金银上涨。所以中国从1932年开始，8年开始外流。最严重的是，到1934年8月份美国高价在伦敦市场上买银子，提高银价。那么中国银子出口有利了，所以报关出口的呀，有宙斯出口的，有这个银子大量出口。 结果造成了个金融危机，叫1934到1935的金融危机。
On November 4, 1935, Kung Xiangxi, financial minister of the national government, announced in Nanjing the abandonment of the silver standard and that banknotes issued by the Central Bank, the Bank of China and the Bank of Communications would become the official currency. The government then retrieved and exchanged silver by force and suppressed silver smuggling. In the following year, the government followed this up by making the banknotes of the Peasants' Bank of China one of the official currencies. The circulation of the official currency brought an end to the chaotic situation in the monetary system and unified the currency in the true sense. This was beneficial to the circulation of commodities and enabled China to disregard the fluctuating silver price on the world market. After the reform of the monetary system, the price of Chinese goods rose, the export volume increased, and as a result, China was able to climb out of an economic trough. In 1937, the war against Japanese aggression broke out, and the newly revitalized economy of China was badly damaged. And just as Ma Ying-chu had worried years before, the potential devaluation of the official currency became a reality. Currencies issued by local governments and the annulled silver bill began to circulate in the market. In the 3 years of the Civil War, Chinese monetary circulation came to the brink of collapse. These photos were taken in Shanghai in the streets in the 1940s. We cannot identify the people in these pictures now, and it is difficult for present-day people to imagine that they had to carry so much money to buy simple daily necessities. A large bundle of these banknotes could only buy a few kilograms of rice. At first glance, this banknote may seem ordinary. But on closer inspection, the word Soviet government printed on it reveals that it is in fact unusual. This banknote told people that in a modern China being ravaged by constant wars, a new force was steadily growing in a poverty-stricken mountain area known as the Soviet area, and that it had issued its own money. In 1949, from the Gate Tower of Heavenly Peace in Beijing, Chairman Mao Zedong announced the founding of New China. A brand new official currency, the renminbi, or People's Banknote, came into being.
In the late Qing dynasty, with the introduction of advanced science and technology from abroad, minting machines were purchased from Britain to make silver and copper dollars in China. This represents the last major historical reform of Chinese money, from handmade to machine-made. Overall, we can say, in looking back on the development of Chinese money, that it has taken the path of independent development since its beginnings, creating a monetary culture with its own distinct characteristics. Chinese money has also had an impact on other East Asian and Southeast Asian countries, to the extent that it is widely considered the representative of Oriental monetary culture. That comes to the end of our 7-part series, The History of Chinese Coins. Thanks for staying with us for documentary on CCTV International. I'm Jia Bin in Beijing. See you next time.